Hi guys, today we've got a biology video and we will be looking at the heart and everything you need to know about the basic anatomy and how blood flows through the heart. As you can see here, we've got an empty diagram of the heart, and if you keep watching, in a few minutes you'll be able to fill in all the boxes. We'll start with the right side of the heart. Don't worry, I haven't got confused. This is what we call the right side of the heart. It's the other way around because you have to imagine you're looking down at a body. So you have the right atrium, which is where the blood first flows into when it enters the heart. It will then pass through a valve, which we'll talk more about later, into the right ventricle, where it will then be pumped again through something we'll talk about later into the lungs. As we move to the left side of the heart, we see that it also has an atrium and a ventricle. However, the wall, the muscular wall of the left ventricle is much thicker. It's got a much thicker layer of muscle, so it can pump blood a lot more powerfully because it has to pump the blood to the rest of the body. We'll start to look at the blood vessels of the heart here, and on the right hand side we can see that we have the pulmonary artery, which takes deoxygenated blood, shown in the blue, away from the heart into the lungs, where it becomes oxygenated and is taken back to the heart by the pulmonary vein, which takes the blood into the left atrium, ready for circulation into the rest of the body. There's still a very important part of the heart that we haven't looked at, and this is the valves. The valve's function is to prevent backflow of blood between chambers of the heart. On the right hand side, between the right atrium and right ventricle, we have the tricuspid valve, and on the left hand side, between the left atrium and left ventricle, we have the mitral valve, which is sometimes called the bicuspid valve. There are also valves on the aorta and pulmonary artery, but you do not need to know about these, just know that they're there and know their function. Also, I'll remind you that you don't actually need to know the names of these valves for GCSE. Now we need to look at what the real function of the heart is. It is to provide the body and body cells with oxygenated blood and remove carbon dioxide from blood that has been around the body. So, the vena cava brings blood into the right atrium from the rest of the body where it has been deoxygenated. It then flows through the pulmonary artery, as we've said, into the lungs and becomes oxygenated before being circulated back into the heart by the pulmonary vein, and then it will flow through the atrium, through the ventricle and through the aorta to the rest of the body. So cells are provided with oxygen and they can respire to give us energy. To summarise, let us just revisit what we have been over. Blood firstly flows into the heart through the vena cava when it is deoxygenated into the right atrium. From here, the atria will contract and blood will be pumped from the right atrium through the tricuspid valve into the right ventricle. The atria will relax and the ventricles will then contract, pumping blood through the pulmonary artery into the lungs. From the lungs, blood that has been oxygenated will come into the heart through the pulmonary vein, arriving in the left atrium. As before, when the atria contract, blood will be pumped through the mitral valve into the left ventricle. The ventricle will then contract and blood will finally be pumped through the aorta to the rest of the body. So, there we go, that's the end of the video. Here's the blank diagram again, so if you want to test yourself, pause the video and try and fill in all the gaps, and if you can't remember, go back and rewatch the areas you're struggling with, because that is the best way to revise. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope it's been useful and we will see you very soon. Bye!